Pause. This is not just another video. This is a moment I set aside for you before today began. I am the God who sees the weight you never talk about, the prayers you whisper instead of shout, and the faith you hold on to when nothing seems to move. You have been carrying pressure, questions, and silent battles, and you asked me for a sign that your season can change. This is that sign. Do not treat this like background noise. Heaven does not interrupt without purpose. For the next few minutes, stay with me. Push distraction aside. Let this be sacred time, because what you are about to hear is not random encouragement. It is direction for your next season, clarity for decisions ahead, and peace for the weight you've been carrying. Lean in. And if you feel even a small confirmation in your spirit right now, like this video as your quiet yes to what God is doing in your life. Subscribe to stay connected to messages that strengthen your faith and keep you aligned when seasons shift. Don't scroll past your moment. Do not let distraction pull you away from the moment I arranged. I am the one who appoints times and seasons, and I have brought you to this word on purpose. Before you saw the weight of your burdens, I had already written your freedom into my plan. Before you felt the pressure of what you owe, I prepared a path where you would walk unburdened. This is not coincidence. This is not chance. This is alignment. I am speaking about your inheritance, not something you earn in a rush, but something I prepared through relationship. Stay with me for the next 19 minutes. Silence the noise. Ignore the notifications. Do not let interruption steal instruction, because what you are about to hear is connected to your next season of freedom, stability, and peace. This is not hype. This is positioning, like this message right now as an act of agreement with my timing. Subscribe as a sign you are choosing alignment over distraction and faith over fear. Stay, listen, receive. Inheritance begins with identity. Servants strive for wages children receive from relationship. You are not approaching me as a stranger. You are walking with me as someone known. I have called you chosen, not forgotten. I have called you beloved, not overlooked. I have called you to walk in blessing, not live under constant burden. The inheritance I speak of is more than money. It is peace where there was pressure. It is stability where there was uncertainty. It is wisdom where there was confusion. I do not give inheritance to create pride. I give inheritance to establish purpose. You have felt the weight of obligation. You have known the stress of responsibility. You have carried concerns quietly. But I am not the author of endless strain. I am the one who leads beside still waters. I restore souls worn thin by worry. I guide into paths where righteousness and provision meet. Freedom in me begins in the spirit and flows into the practical. I teach you wisdom with resources. I guide you into decisions that create margin. I lead you away from cycles that drain you. This is how my plan unfolds, not reckless gain, but restored order. Have I not said that those who trust in me lack no good thing? Have I not promised to instruct you in the way you should go? Have I not declared that my blessing brings peace, not sorrow? I am faithful to my word. I do not overlook obedience. I do not forget quiet faithfulness. I do not ignore those who seek me first. Your season is not defined by past struggle. It is shaped by present alignment. You are leaving survival thinking and entering stewardship thinking. Survival asks, will I make it? Stewardship asks, how do I manage what I've been given? This shift changes how you walk. You will begin to notice clarity in decisions, peace guiding your steps, opportunities that align without chaos. Because I do not lead my people into confusion. I lead them into order. Order in priorities. Order in finances. Order in direction. If this word feels like confirmation in your spirit, respond in faith. Like this message as a declaration that you are aligning with wisdom and trust. Subscribe to continue walking in faith-centered encouragement and spiritual growth. Connection keeps your focus steady in changing seasons. There are moments when preparation meets movement, when waiting turns into walking, when learning turns into leading, when prayer turns into peace. You are stepping into that kind of moment. Not forced, not rushed, but appointed. I go before you to prepare the way. I walk beside you to steady your steps. I remain behind you to guard what I establish. Blessing is not for display. It is for stability. It creates room to breathe, room to give, room to build. I delight in establishing my people in peace. I am honored when my faithfulness is visible in their lives. Your life becomes a testimony not of luck, but of alignment. What I establish in you will touch those after you. Your obedience shifts patterns. Your faith opens doors. Your trust builds foundations. This is how inheritance becomes legacy. What I begin, I sustain. Storms may come, but your foundation will hold. Pressure may appear, but my peace will remain. Because I am the builder behind what I bless. Say this with confidence. I am chosen and not forgotten. My steps are guided by God. I walk in wisdom and peace. I am learning faithful stewardship. My life is aligned with His purpose. His promises are my foundation. Do not leave this moment distracted. Like this message as an act of faith and agreement. Subscribe to stay rooted in encouragement that strengthens your walk with God. The inheritance is not about excess. It is about alignment, peace, and purpose. And the one who promised is faithful to lead you forward. Stay present. Because what God is doing in this season is not only external, it is deeply spiritual. Before freedom shows up in your circumstances, it is planted in your spirit. Before burdens lift in the natural, chains break in the unseen. God's plan to make you free does not begin with numbers. It begins with identity. You are not defined by what you owe. You are not labeled by past mistakes. You are not limited by former seasons. You are called chosen. Chosen to walk in wisdom. Chosen to grow in stability. Chosen to live in alignment with God's provision and peace. Spiritual inheritance means you no longer think like someone trapped. Your mindset begins to shift from fear to faith, from constant worry to steady trust, from "how will I survive?" to "God will guide my steps." That shift alone changes the direction of your life. Because when your heart aligns with God's truth, your decisions begin to align with His wisdom. You start noticing guidance where you once felt lost. You sense restraint where you once would have rushed. You feel peace confirming steps that once would have scared you. This is part of the inheritance. Not reckless gain, not sudden magic, but divine direction. God is not only removing burdens, He is teaching you how to walk free. Freedom without wisdom leads back into chains, but freedom with spiritual maturity leads into stability. So He strengthens your inner life. He teaches patience where there was panic. He grows discipline where there was impulse. He builds trust where there was fear. You are being shaped into someone who can carry blessing without losing peace. This is why this season feels different. You are not just hoping things change. You are becoming someone who moves differently. You pause and pray before deciding. You seek peace before saying yes. You choose long-term stability over short-term relief. That is spiritual growth. And spiritual growth is part of God's provision. Because a calm, guided life is wealth of a deeper kind. God's promise has always been more than material. It has always included peace that guards your heart, wisdom that directs your steps, and strength that sustains you through every season. This is the inheritance that cannot be taken away. Circumstances may shift, but spiritual grounding remains. Opportunities may come and go, but God's guidance continues. You are not walking this path alone. The same God who calls you chosen walks beside you. He steadies your steps when you feel unsure. He redirects you when you start to drift. He provides insight when you ask for wisdom. And this is how His plan unfolds. Not all at once, not through pressure, but through faithful steps guided by His Spirit. So stay close to Him. Keep your heart open. Keep your mind anchored in truth. Keep choosing trust over fear. Because the inheritance is not just what you receive. It is who you are becoming while you walk with Him. And who you become is the part that lasts forever. Now listen closely, because this is where everything begins to change on the inside. You're no longer walking through life as someone trying to survive. You're learning to walk as someone who belongs to God's household. Heirs don't move with panic. Heirs don't live in constant fear of losing everything. Heirs learn the ways of the house they belong to. And God is teaching you His ways. He is teaching you to slow down when fear says rush, to listen when pressure says react, to trust when circumstances say worry. This is spiritual authority forming in you, not loud authority, not prideful confidence, but quiet assurance that God is leading your steps. You will start noticing that your reactions change. Situations that once overwhelmed you will now meet a calmer response. Decisions that once felt impossible will now be approached with prayer and patience. Because you are no longer acting from survival mode. You are learning to act from trust. This is part of your inheritance. God's children don't have to control everything. They learn to walk with the one who does. And as you grow in this, peace becomes your normal. Not because life has no challenges, but because your foundation is deeper. You are rooted. Like a tree planted near water, you may still face heat, but you do not wither. You may still face pressure, but you do not collapse. Because your source is not your own strength. It is God's steady faithfulness. This changes how you see your future. You stop expecting disaster. You stop assuming loss. You stop bracing for the worst. Instead, you begin expecting guidance. You begin trusting provision. You begin believing that God truly walks with you. This is not denial of reality. This is alignment with truth. And truth sets your heart free. As an heir, you also grow in responsibility. Not heavy responsibility that crushes you, but meaningful responsibility that shapes you. You begin managing what you have with care. You begin making decisions with wisdom. You begin thinking beyond today. Because heirs think long-term. They build, not just consume. They plan, not just react. They steward, not just spend. God is growing that mindset in you. You may not notice it all at once, but it shows up in small daily choices. In the way you pause before acting. In the way you seek God before deciding. In the way you choose peace over pressure. Those quiet choices are shaping your future. They are part of God's plan to lead you into freedom, not only from debt, but from fear, confusion, and constant strain. Because true freedom is not only financial, it is spiritual and emotional. It is the freedom to sleep without constant anxiety, to make decisions without panic, to live without the weight of endless worry. That is part of the inheritance too. And as you walk in this, you become a source of peace for others. People will notice your steadiness. They will see your calm in stressful moments. They will wonder how you remain hopeful. And your life will quietly point to God's faithfulness, not through perfection, not through pride, but through trust. This is how inheritance becomes legacy, not just in what you have, but in who you are becoming. A person rooted in faith, guided by wisdom, strengthened by peace. So keep walking, not with fear of what could go wrong, but with trust in the one who goes before you. You are not alone. You are not forgotten. You are not without help. You are chosen. You are guided. You are growing into someone who can carry God's promises with grace. And that transformation is the greatest inheritance of all. Now that you understand who you are becoming, the next step is how you walk it out each day. Because inheritance is not only a moment you hear about, it is a life you grow into. God's plan does not unfold through one dramatic event alone. It unfolds through daily steps of trust, small decisions, quiet obedience, consistent faith. This is where real transformation happens. You wake up and choose trust instead of fear. You pause and pray instead of reacting. You listen for peace instead of rushing ahead. That is alignment. Alignment is not loud. It is steady. It shows up when you forgive instead of holding bitterness, when you choose wisdom instead of impulse, when you say no to what drains you and yes to what strengthens you. These daily choices create long-term freedom. Because God's provision flows most clearly where His wisdom is followed. You begin to notice patterns breaking. Old habits that once led you into stress lose their grip. Old fears that once controlled your decisions grow quieter. Old cycles that once felt impossible to escape start to loosen. Not because you forced them to break, but because you are walking a new path. A path led by peace. And peace is a powerful guide. When something is not right, you will feel it. When something is aligned, you will sense calm clarity. Learning to follow that peace is part of your spiritual inheritance. It protects you from choices that would pull you back into pressure and confusion. It leads you toward steps that build stability. You are not meant to carry your future alone. God's guidance is active, not distant. He leads through wisdom in your thoughts, through restraint when something feels off, through courage when it's time to move forward. Your role is not to figure everything out at once. Your role is to stay close to Him in each step. Daily trust creates long-term freedom. Daily obedience creates lasting stability. Daily faith creates a future built on peace. You will still have responsibilities. You will still make decisions. You will still face challenges. But you will not face them the same way. You will face them grounded instead of panicked. Prayerful instead of pressured. Hopeful instead of overwhelmed. Because you are no longer walking as someone alone. You are walking as someone guided. And that guidance changes everything over time. You will look back and see how far you've come. How your reactions changed. How your decisions improved. How your life grew more stable and peaceful. Not all at once, but step by step. This is how God builds lasting freedom. Not through sudden shortcuts, but through steady transformation. And as you continue, remember this. You don't have to be perfect to walk in God's plan. You just have to stay willing. Willing to listen. Willing to learn. Willing to trust again each day. That willingness keeps you aligned with His leading. And His leading always moves you toward life, toward peace, toward purpose. So keep walking, one faithful step at a time. Because the inheritance is not only something God gives, It is a life He walks with you as you grow into it. And you are growing, even now. Walk forward with confidence. You are not alone, and you are not without direction. God is guiding your steps, shaping your heart, and leading you into lasting peace. Stay aligned. Stay prayerful. Stay faithful in the small daily steps. The one who began this work in you is faithful to carry it forward. Your story is still unfolding, and you are walking it with Him.